Hi there, welcome to day 3. So it's 7 p.m. here in India right now. Maybe you are going to connect live or you're watching the replay. In any case, I hope you find a lot of value from this conversation that we have today going on, and also for the 5 days, all put together. I think you find, these nuggets that will help you connect with your desires, help you shift your beliefs, and help you feel good. So it's 7 p.m. here in India. Today I had to shift the timing a little bit. I guess it'll be around, I think it's around 6:30 a.m. in the morning in the US. Hi, Aman. Thank you for joining here. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm excited to speak about today's topic, which is shifting our beliefs. So, everything that we are doing here is going to be valuable to you no matter where you are at. Maybe you're not feeling so good in your life, and maybe there's a dream that you have that you're setting towards, moving towards. Maybe things are going really, really well, and you're, looking towards the next thing, next expansion. So, no matter where you are, hi Dhruv, hi Mahendra, all these amazing people here. So whatever we are doing here is going to help you to the next stage. Hi Sachin. So it could be anything that you want more of. Maybe you want a relationship, maybe you're looking for more happiness, a sense of peace, a sense of calm. Maybe you're looking at the next level of your income, or you're looking at a promotion at where you're working. So the people that I've worked with, also the programs that I've conducted and the one-on-one sessions that I have, it varies. Everyone has different goals, but everyone moves to the next stage. So it could be getting a promotion, getting a job, having more clients, if they have some business of their own, having more money. Sometimes it's having more confidence in yourself, feeling really worthy of who you are. And I think that those things that you can't really put on, you can't really articulate, you can't really properly lay it out. Those are the most valuable things. When you feel good about yourself, when you feel worthy, when you feel happy and good about life, I think that's the most valuable, that's actually invaluable, the thing that you can have in your life. So wherever you are, if you're doing these 5 days along with me, and in case you're just tuning in today, you can catch the replays on my IGTV for day 1 and day 2. Wherever you are, it's going to be helpful to you. So the first day we were talking about feeling good about where we are, which is like the essential foundation for us to move towards our goals. If we are not feeling good about our life, if we have resentment, if we are feeling disappointed, then it just becomes all the more difficult to move towards the next goal. It feels more far away. But if we are remembering who we are, how amazing, the amazing things we have done before, the things that we have achieved before, then we feel confident. We feel like it's possible. I can do it. I've done this before. So it helps us move towards a goal in a better place. So that's the first day. Second day, yesterday we were looking at what are the top 3 goals that you have. So again, as I said, you can revisit the videos and I help you clarify how you should look at your goals, how you should talk about your goals, and how you should think about your goals in the last day that we did the activities together. Today is about shifting our beliefs. Now, this is the main stuff. This is the main thing about how we can attract the desires that we have, how we can manifest the things that we have, that we want in our lives. So every time we have a new goal, so this will happen every time you want to say go to the next income level, you want to have a healthier body, you want to attract more satisfaction, connection in your relationships, there would be beliefs or things that you want to do, right? There would be beliefs or stories or voices in your head, you could say, that come up and say that it's not possible, you can't do it, it's difficult, people can't do it, it's very rare for you to have it. If it's suppose a car that you want or a house that you want, it might be a voice that says it's too expensive, you can't do it. If it may be starting your own business, for example, again there may be voices that may say that you can't do it, you've had those past failures, so that's not possible, you remember. So you start remembering the negative things, you start remembering the voices that tell you that it's not possible. And now today I want to talk to you about how we can shift that, how we can change that. So everyone who's watching right now and people who will be watching the replay later, I want to ask you, when you're thinking of your goal, whatever the next goal may be, yesterday we discussed about your goals, and in case you didn't join yesterday, just think about what's the next thing you want to manifest, next thing you want to achieve. And as you're thinking about it, tell me, what is a belief, what's a story, what's a thought that comes that tells you it's too difficult. What is a negative limiting belief or a negative limiting thought that comes when you're thinking about your goal. So people who are connected live right now, also I would invite you to Sachin, Aman, what is a negative thing that comes up when you're thinking about your, about the desire that you have. So thing about that is we have so many experiences, so many past experiences where things went wrong, when someone told us that, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, or suppose it's a relationship that you want to manifest, then maybe from your past relationships where you had a heartbreak, those experiences come back to your mind and make you feel like, well, I think there's something wrong with me. I think, this new relationship will also end in the way like the previous one. So all the things that happened in our past, they have an influence on how we are approaching our future, how we're thinking about our future. So what is important for us is to realize what's going on underneath our mind as we're looking at the next step. Because most of these things happen subconsciously. We can go all the way to our childhood and look at how our parents spoke to us. And it's not because they were wrong or they didn't have good intentions. It's because how they learned it. So often we've all heard, I think commonly, that money doesn't grow on trees, right? So our parents have told us so many times that you either choose between this thing or that thing. You can't have everything, right? Or on your birthday you have to only choose one thing, or the fanciest thing. You can't have multiple things. You don't be selfish if you want to have more of these things. And as a child, we pick up all those beliefs, whatever our parents' beliefs were, we just pick it up and we still have those going on. So when you are moving towards your next income goal, that belief somehow may still be operating that money doesn't grow on trees. It's a scarce thing. It's not abundant. It's very difficult to come by. We need to save it, because it's a scarce resource. So we might lose it all at once and everything. So we have those beliefs going on in our mind. So let me say, Aman said, other people getting jealous whilst we move towards our goal. Most negative thing that pops up. I'm going to definitely talk about this, Aman, because this is really a negative thought that holds us back, because we feel that in some way either people will be jealous or they will feel bad, especially people close to us. We feel like, if I succeed, how would these people feel? They may feel bad about where they are in their life right now, or they may be jealous, or they may not like it, or they may taunt us and everything, right? So that is very interesting negative belief that comes up because of course, things that you have observed before, how people have reacted probably to you before, or how people have reacted to other people before. So first thing that is very important is to identify what's the belief that shows up. Hi Akshay, nice to see you here. I will add people on the live call later in like about 20 minutes or so, then we can have one-on-one conversations. So the first step, today's first activity, is to identify what your negative belief is, right? So as Aman put it, would love to know from Akshay and everyone who's joining in right now, what's a negative belief that pops up when you're thinking about your goal? Now the second step in shifting it is to identify where is it coming from? Why do you feel like this? Where is this thought coming from? So you have a feeling that, people may be jealous. So I want to invite you to think about, and it doesn't have to be accurate, because of course over the periods of so many months and years and everything, many people may have reacted like that, but there may be one really strong memory that comes up. They're like, oh, that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of, okay, this is from that time, this is what my father had said, or this is what my teacher had said at some point, and this is how my friend reacted to someone else, so that came to my mind. Right? So identify where it came from, because when you identify it, then you can really find out, oh, this is coming from that. Suddenly this big subconscious belief becomes more concrete, and it becomes like, oh, this comes from that experience. That's it. It's not a truth. This is not an absolute way in which reality is working. It's not an absolute way in which kind of commands my life. It comes from that experience, and I can change that. Right? So that's the next thing. I want to share with you experiences like, of the people I've worked with, the clients that I've worked with. So one of my clients, she had a fear of public speaking, but she really wanted to speak, in public. She was excited about it. It made her feel really good, and that's something that she wanted to grow into. So I was asking her, where does this come from? Where does that fear come from? And she didn't have to think too far, because it came like a crystal clear memory that once in a school assembly she had to say something, and one of the teachers and she started stuttering. She actually, I think, either forgot or she started stuttering, and the teacher like scolded her in front of the entire school. And That is, of course, a very traumatic memory for a child to have, and that is something that we can carry throughout our lives. Now, the thing with that is, it is not necessarily true that right now you can't be a good public speaker. But since you're holding on to that memory, since that was a really bad traumatic memory that is still affecting you, it is going to affect your ability to want to now learn to be a public speaker, to seek out opportunities, to take action. It almost seems like, that teacher in that instance still has the hold on her. Like, unless he says, okay, no, it's fine, I'm so sorry for what I did, unless, she gets released from that memory, she can't move forward. But that's, of course, that's not the case. It's not the teacher, it's not what happened, it's how we are still holding on to this right here, right now. And that needs to be released, that needs to be changed. So that was required for her to shift and move through that. This happened and that was really wrong of the teacher, sure, but I'm not letting him still have a hold on me to move and grow towards becoming a public speaker or having those opportunities. I'll still be scared, I'll still have those memories, but now that I've identified it, I've realized that I need to shift it, I need to change it, I need to stop letting that person have that control over me. Like, that experience still has the power over you. You have given away that power to that experience, right? That's one case. Another case, funny case, is that in my previous 3-day program that I did, one of the participants, she said that her next goal is to get a certain position at her company. The interesting thing is that she's working in that position as in that capacity for almost a year. She's doing all the things that are required, like she's doing everything that's written in the job description, but she still doesn't have that post yet. And now she thinks she's ready for it. So I was asking her, like, what's the limiting belief that shows up? What's the thought that is kind of holding you back? And why do you think you need to, only after 4 years can you have this position, even though she's been working since the last year, as in that capacity? She said that when she had first joined the company, one of the older team members in her company said that I've been working in this company for 4 years and now I think I can do this role, I can take up this job, and I am worthy of filling in these shoes. So for her, that memory kind of settled in her mind, and she thought, only after I finish 4 years in this company working in this capacity, then will I be eligible to apply for this post or get this post. Even though she already had the skill set, even though she was already working for almost a year in that capacity, because that belief was there, because that thought was there that I won't be good enough till I pay 4 years of my hard work and time and effort to get this position. So that's how we have all these stories or beliefs or thoughts and things that we have picked up from our past, from other people, that kind of hold us where we are. Now, if you start thinking about, okay, I may have so many limiting beliefs, I need to change them all, and I need to figure them all out, you'll get overwhelmed and you'll go into this downward hill where you feel like, oh my god, I have so many limiting beliefs. But don't worry, you don't have to sort all of them out. That's not the case. When you have the next goal, you have your sights set on the next place where you're heading, it automatically shows up. The negative belief shows up in your mind. It says you can't do this because you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you don't have the certification yet, or you don't it's no one's ever done this in your family before, all of those things. It will show up. So the next step is, so as you all have those desires in your life, and the negative beliefs and the stories pop up, now it's the time to look at them and really address them and step out of the story. Because if you're in the story still, then it can feel overwhelming. That's why it was important. That's the last thing that actually in the call, as I've written earlier, that I wanted to mention, is that this is the stuff to do when you're feeling kind of positive, kind of neutral. So it is important to have done a sort of appreciation of where you are and feeling good about yourself, which we did in day 1, feeling excited about your goal, which we did in day 2, and then coming to your beliefs. Because if you're really feeling down, if you're already feeling overwhelmed by your goal, and you look back and you memorize everything, it all comes back to you. Oh, how the teacher yelled at me, or how my past relationship was really bad, or how my parents reacted to me. If all of that comes back, you're again in the story. then the story has more power than you have, right? So when you're feeling good, when you're feeling uplifted, then you can be a little bit removed from the story, removed from the belief, and then really realize that, oh, I can just shift it. I can, decide to not have this thing in my life have so much control over me. So once you're feeling good, once you're feeling positive, at least feeling neutral, that's when you should, reflect and look at your negative beliefs and your old stories. The second thing, as you identify, is first identify what it is, where it comes from. The next thing is it really true? Is it true anymore? Is it true that I have to work as I said in the previous example, do I have to stay here for 4 years and only then am I eligible for the post? That's not the case. I'm already working for a year in this capacity. I'm doing really well. I'm getting great results. So I actually already deserve that raise. I already deserve that kind of post. Just because my parents said that money doesn't grow on trees and everything, and they had scarcity in their life, that doesn't mean that I also have to operate from that place, because I will expand, I will change, I will have more money in my life, so I can spend that kind of money that probably my parents could not, and then they saw it as a big amount, right? Especially what here Aman shared, that when we are achieving our goal, other people may get jealous. That's something that I wanted to share, Aman. Like, that's a very interesting thing that can hold us back. But I want you to really look at it and assess it. Is it really true that people will get jealous? Like, that's one way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it is that, when you actually expand in your own life, when you actually have some success in your own life, and you actually, go beyond what anyone's expectation was, what anyone else's boundaries were of what they think is possible, you change it for them. When you buy a car in your house for the first time, if it wasn't there, then you make it possible for other people. You inspire other people. When you start a business, when your family is not coming from that background, they may have the resistance. They may be like, no, this is not possible, this is crazy. But you are succeeding in that, and you're doing it, and you're showing people that this happens and this works, and you're happy and you're feeling successful, then it's going to inspire them to think beyond what they earlier thought is the capacity. Right? When you suppose in your life, in your community, there's always been arranged marriages, and love marriage is absolutely unheard of, and everyone's wanting to marry within community. You decide to show people that, what, love marriage does work. It is something that is completely fine. The person is amazing. He or she is a wonderful person, and it's important for me to be happy. And when you're happy, you're living that example. You are inspiring others by being that example of what is possible. Yes, there will be people who may be jealous, but that's because they're still thinking or seeing you from that limited mindset. And you may not want to also have those people around you as you're succeeding, but when they expand their mind, they will come around and they will ask you, how did you do it? And I've experienced it, and I've seen it also in my clients' lives. Then they take like some crazy step. They take something that is beyond what everyone else perceived to be acceptable, normal, standard, and people took that step beyond, did something new. And it doesn't have to be something like starting a business or getting a new house or something. It can be something as small as traveling out for the first time, as Akanksha had joined in day one, where she comes from a small town from Barmer in Rajasthan, where it's not heard of that the girls would go out and travel. But she started doing it. She set up her own business, right? She set up her own business, and she's traveling with her sister. And now other people are inspired by her and see that she's traveling. Then they feel the inspiration and encouragement that they can do it too. So once you're connected with your vision, connected with your dream, and you're moving towards it, then people also come around. Those who have to get inspired, they do get inspired. Those who are still jealous, they are staying in the small mindset, and that's okay. You can have compassion for them that they can't see till there. And it's okay. You don't also want to be in that vibe anyway. You don't want them around you anyway, because they're held back by their limited mindset. You want to be with people who have expanded mindset, who are thinking beyond, so that they can expand you. And when these people are ready, they will come around and they will applaud you, they'll appreciate you, and you can still have beautiful connections with them. So if you have this belief that people will be jealous if you succeed, think about it. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to hold yourself back just because some people will feel jealous when they think of you? It's not. It's your life. You deserve to expand. You deserve to go beyond what has been normal. You deserve to expand everyone's beliefs of what's possible. You deserve to set an example. And as you're moving ahead, more importantly, you deserve to have what you desire. Period. Not about anyone else and how they're feeling and how they're thinking. But a natural byproduct of that is that when you're happy, when you're successful, successful means basically, in your own terms, you're happy, you're satisfied, you're moving ahead, you're doing the things that you love, things that bring you joy. And when you're successful, then people will come around and ask you, how did you do it? What are you doing? Can you teach us? Or even they might look at you from afar and be inspired. So it's not worth it to really, look at other people and be like, they might be jealous, so I will hold myself back. That's not the kind of life that you want to live anyway. So this is what we did right now, is like really look at your limiting belief and see it as a third person. Get removed from the story and forget who those people are. Forget if it's your chacha, if it's your own parents, if someone close to you. Get a little bit removed from that story and be like, is it worth it? Question that negative belief, shift that negative belief, and really be like, is this absolutely true? Is this ultimately true that money doesn't grow on trees? Or is it absolutely true that I'm not a good person, I'm not a beautiful enough person, or I'm not a smart enough person? Is it absolutely true, like in Akanksha's case, who joined in the first day again? She started her business with the clothing and everything without having a degree, without having any degree in fashion. So again, like she didn't hold herself back just because she didn't have a degree, because a lot of us hold ourselves back. Well, I have no experience in this, I have no degree in this, I have no education in this, so I can't do this, right? But she was like, well, it doesn't matter, I googled everything. That's what she said, and I loved it. I googled everything and I figured it out as I went. So is it worth it to hold myself back because this is the belief that shows up, that I can't have it, I can't do it, or someone else, or I had failed earlier? Is it true that you're still the person who can't succeed anymore? Just because you've failed once doesn't mean that you'll keep failing again and again. That's not true. You've grown. So it requires kind of, talking to yourself and talking to that limiting belief, because that's the version of you, the subconscious part of you that's coming up with that limiting belief. It's a version of you that is feeling scared, that is feeling like, this is a fear that I'm picked up from my childhood, when I was 2 or when I was 7 or when I was whatever in my teens, and it's coming to this version of you who's going ahead, who's looking ahead. And if suppose that's teenager Sanjula is coming to the Sanjula right now and asking her, well, it feels scary, it feels like I don't know if I can do it, I failed in the past. So it's now your job, this version of you has to console and kind of talk to that version of you and be like, it's fine, we'll figure it out, we have learned so much since then. Whatever your specific limiting belief is, you want to shift that, you want to soothe it, you want to go towards the positive belief, right? Let me see if there are any comments. Hi Harini, wonderful to see you here. Let's see if anyone would like to join the live call today. I'll keep it a little bit short. Harini, let me know if you'd like to join the call, or Aman. So here, hi Vidya. I'm sending an invitation to everyone. Whoever wants to join, you can join in, and we can talk about limiting beliefs, how they show up, right? How they kind of control us, how they kind of, hold us back to where we are. From our past experiences, from the experiences other people have had, it's really, really up to you to shift the standards, to change the standards. Another interesting thing is that if we, people, we think, okay, my dad won't agree, or the society won't agree, or other people won't get it. But those people also, they also have their beliefs shifting all the time. If they're feeling happy, they'll be supportive, they'll be like, yeah, why not do whatever. If they're going through a hard time, they will not be convinced of anything. But you are kind of basing your own life, your own desires, how you're moving towards your life, on how someone feels or doesn't feel at a moment. I have recently had this experience, like I know about limiting beliefs and I know about all these things, but recently had this experience where someone very close to me had a certain really strong standard on something. And I admired them for that. I was like, amazing. That is, that's the standard and everything. But something happened. I can't go into the details because it's a bit personal. Hi, Harini. So when something changed, once a different scenario happened, they had a standard about how other people should react in certain situations. But when the situation came to them, they reacted in a completely different way. And that for me was like mind blowing. because this is someone close to me. I admire them. I admire that they have these standards. And I thought, well, now it's their situation to live up to those standards, but they couldn't. They somehow just reacted in a different way altogether. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I was holding on to their standards that they have for themselves. So that is like so fickle. That's such a wobbly place. Why would we base our life on what other people, the standards other people are setting for themselves and for the life, when they on themselves sometimes can't hold to their standards, right? So before it gets too vague, let me see if I can invite Vidya or Harini, if you'd like to join the call and talk a little bit about manifestation, if you'd like to talk about it, or about your next desire that you have, or if you have any limiting beliefs, we can shift them here. So that's my intention in any case. Like, that's what I do also personally, and I also help people do that as a coach, that identify the beliefs that you have, assess it, really recognize, is it true or not, where is it coming from, because it's not the absolute truth. We make it the truth about ourselves. If someone told us at some point, where you don't look good, someone says you look fat, or you're not smart enough, we hold it to our heart and we make it our truth. This is the truth about myself. We don't even realize it. It runs subconsciously in our mind, but we're not smart enough to do that, or we should not behave in that way. It's not acceptable. And we just don't realize that we have accepted some standard for ourselves that someone somewhere mentioned. So once you identify, oh, this was my friend who had said this in some sixth standard, that I can't do this, that's why I'm still believing this, but that's not who I am. I can set my own standards. Hi guys, lovely to see you guys here. So let me know, what are some limiting beliefs that you have that show up, and you can share here without any hesitation, because as I'm saving this video, your comments will not show up, so you can just share whatever limiting beliefs that come up. That's the thing about Instagram, of course, because it's a little bit more public. I will be doing a 2-week program, which is going to be starting this Sunday, I think. Yeah, this Sunday. So that's on Facebook. That's a private community. That's a loving community. Like, everyone's there together. Everyone is focused on their goals, and we just support each other. We just like create that space, which is really like, there's a lot of warmth, there's a lot of compassion, and also there are a lot of inspiring stories. Because when people come together, for me, another thing would be, the next thing that I want to manifest, as I said yesterday, was, a speaking opportunity, a specific speaking opportunity. And I'm like excited about it. And like, I'm nervous. I have my own limiting beliefs, and for someone else, it's their normal. They've done it. They've done it several times. But since you're in the same community, you get inspired by the other person. You get to hear their stories, and they encourage you. And then it becomes more believable for you that, well, I can also do it. That's an interesting thing about manifestation. When you have your desire, every time you have a new desire, it'll be somewhere here, and your beliefs will be here. The beliefs will be like, well, it's difficult, or it's rare, or it's too special. Suppose you're a business owner and you have a certain income goal, or you have a certain sales goal. This is your normal. This is where you regularly operate at. You have so many X number of sales per month. But now you're aiming for like 10x the month, and that feels crazy. That feels out of the park. Well, that is amazing. I don't know how it's possible. So your beliefs are here, the goal you have is here. But what it requires is to step by step shift your negative beliefs. What we did yesterday also, thinking about this and feeling confident about it. What we did in day one, feeling good about yourself, feeling good like, I've done things, amazing things before, and I can also achieve this. I'll figure it out. And the moment this feels normal, this feels like, well, yeah, it's obvious. I can do it. I figured it out. Then it manifests. It's not something that happens completely out of nowhere. It feels, also there have been so many magical manifestations that I've recently shared also in my stories, that someone manifested money that they didn't see coming. So there are these surprising elements, but it never feels like this doesn't make sense. It feels like, yes, of course. I had asked for something. I believe that there are different ways in which it can come to me. That it feels like, of course this happened. Like, my mind is blown. This is amazing. What a brilliant and beautiful surprise. But it feels like, of course. So that's the journey that we're doing here. As you're manifesting something, you want to raise your beliefs to the standards of your next desire, right? If you want to have a new relationship, then you want to look at, what are your beliefs about worthiness around having love in your life, right? About the worthiness of, or the possibility of meeting wonderful people. You see, the examples that are there in your life, the people who are in love, people who feel like, amazing couples that get inspired by, you want to start believing, well, it's possible, it's true. And you want to tell yourself that I deserve love. So it's a game of shifting beliefs. It's a fun game of shifting beliefs and believing in ourselves, believing in our worthiness, believing that it's possible, whatever we're asking for. Right? So that's why this day is super, super exciting for me to talk about. Hi, Sahil. Hi, wonderful. Chatrala Jewelers. Hi. Would love to know what your name is. So, hi, Chaitanya. Let me see if I can. If anyone wants to hop in the call, you can. I anyway have to go a little bit earlier today. That's why I had to shift the call today. So, final note that I wanted to add, in case you want to join and hop in the call, you can send an invitation. Vidya, Harini, Ramgut, Chaitanya, sorry, Sahil, Aman, if you want to join in the call, we can talk a little bit about the beliefs that you have. But this is the last thing that I wanted to share about today. Again, reiterating the same thing. You get to set your own standards. You get to set your own beliefs about what's possible for you. Everyone else will come around. Everyone else will, join you there eventually. Some will, be behind you right away. They'll be like, yeah, of course this can happen. Some will take a little bit of time. And it doesn't have to be like big things, even for small things. I was telling someone earlier today, I was sending a voice note, that I remember a point where I had to travel from where I am to Delhi, which is the capital of India. Some of my friends are from the US, so just for some context. And the only way to do it was by bus or by train. And initially, my parents had a lot of resistance around it. Like, you're a girl and it's not safe and everything to travel and everything. But I was like, I have to go there. I want to go there. I need to get there. I had, a certain vision in my mind, a certain goal in my mind. And it was a non-negotiable thing that I have to go there. So at that point, I had to convince people a little bit. I had to be I had to have my own conviction that I have to be there. And as I went ahead and did it, that standard that everyone had, it's not safe to travel, it's difficult to travel, it's crazy, we don't know what are the kind of people that'll be there, all of those things, all of that shifted because I had the faith in my own desire, in my own vision. It's such a small example, it's not a big thing, but still, now everyone forgets it. I remember it, but it has become such a standard in my house. Anyone who ever has to go to Delhi, yeah, take the bus. There's a bus that goes every hour. Or you can take this train. This train is very reliable. It's really fun. But I had to be the one who had to first break the boundary of what people believed in my family, that it's possible, it's safe, it's convenient, all of those things. So sometimes you have to be the first one. And it feels like, well, my family or this society will never change. I can't imagine doing this thing because it's so rigid, everything around me. But the thing is, when you're the first person to do it, don't even try to look at no one's ever done this before and everything. Just feel connected to your desire. You go ahead and do it. And slowly it changes everyone's belief. You may have seen this, you may have heard this also before. When there's any time there's a world record that's broken, especially in running and everything. I am forgetting this very specific example, but in a certain year there was a certain record time of I think the fastest man on earth, and everyone used to fall short of it. It used to be that record, someone had created that, but at some Olympics someone broke that record and went to the next shorter time. After that person broke the record, there were many people. Of course, since then people have broken even that record, but it required one person to shift everyone's belief that, oh, this is possible. You talk about the millionaires that are there, the number of millionaires that are there is just expanding because now more and more people believe that it's possible to make money, it's possible to become a millionaire in different ways. So that's why being the first one sometimes is actually a very wonderful thing. It feels like you're looking at your current reality and being like, well, no one's ever done this before, it's difficult and everything. So you can have that, let that have hold over you, let that have power over you, or you can let yourself be magnetized and attracted to the desire that you have and be connected with that. Forget about what everyone has done and what they're thinking. When you get there, everyone else also comes around. Okay, Aman, no problem, no issues. Maybe tomorrow if you're free, like it's fine, not an issue. So that was the day 3, right? think about what are the limiting beliefs that pop up for you. Every time you have a new desire, new limiting beliefs will show up. And also more may come. Like you have one desire, say a certain income goal. This thing is coming up right now, that what will other people think? Maybe they get jealous. After you fix it, then another thing may come up, which would be like, no one's ever done this before. It'll be crazy. Do I deserve it? Or do I have to work extra hard for it? And all of those things may come up, right? And it's fine. You can always shift them. And that's the beauty of what we're doing here. We think that all the power lies in the action of really, really suffering and really going hard at. I have nothing against hustle culture, nothing like that. But the thing is that once you make it familiar in your mind, once you make it normal in your mind, once you make it believable in your mind, the action becomes natural. It feels very natural to take the next action step. Like again, in the case of the girl who had that stage fright, who wanted to be a public speaker, but her teacher had scolded her that she did a bad job in front of the whole school. She could let that still be there in her life. But since she decided to shift that, since she addressed it, she's like, you know what, I don't care if that happened, I'm going to move forward. The next natural step for her was, and it pops up, and that's what the thing is. When you decide for something, law of attraction brings you opportunities where you can move towards that. So for her, the next thing was that there's a very famous, popular club, which is all about, speaking, public speaking. I'm forgetting the word for it. Like, if you guys know what I'm talking about, this is a very popular club where you actually go and practice public speaking. And that's what showed up for her. Like, she didn't know that it existed in her college, but then since she made that decision, she came across that and she joined it. Let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about, what's the name of the club, very specific thing. And that was like the next natural step for her. She took the action, she moved towards it, and she started speaking. And then eventually what happened, she got so comfortable. She had a public speaking class. She used to have one of the courses, um, Toastmasters. Sorry, Dale Carnegie, I know that's also there. There's one more called Toastmasters. Thanks, Chaitanya. So she joined Toastmasters and she, brushed up her skills. She got better and better through her nervousness and everything. And then in one of her courses, which was about communication and public speaking, the teacher was really impressed with her speech. And she was like, this is how you should talk. She was telling the whole class that this is the perfect example of how you should use humor in your speech. And she wanted that, she loved having humor as a part of her speech. So she became that person. I think she got a certificate and everything, also best speech. So you see the whole journey that happened there. Wanting to be a public speaker, but being held back by an experience in your childhood. Then it's a decision point. Do I want to still carry that in my heart? That teacher's gone away, that experience has gone away, but I'm still carrying it in my heart as I'm moving forward and deciding it still has that control over me. And she decided to shift that. Then the action becomes normal. Had she still held on to that fear and that experience, then taking that action also would have been scary. Well, I'm not good enough. I can't join Toastmasters. I can't do that. Right? So action becomes like the next natural step. That's something that's a big misconception, I think, when people think about law of attraction. People think that you're not supposed to take any action. You just close your eyes and feel like, I'm doing a TEDx talk or a TED talk, and tomorrow you will be invited to do that. That's not the case. While a lot of things happen and magically appear in your life, a lot of times when you're visualizing that thing, when you become so connected with your desire, you feel inspired, you are filled up with this energy to move towards it. You want to take action. That's the beauty of it. There's the difference between pushing yourself to take action, really, really feeling, I must do it, I should do it, this is what I need to do, versus someone telling you, well, I think you should stop working because you're doing it so much, you're so excited, you're like putting hours and hours to this thing, and it feels like only a few minutes have passed. You might have had that experience sometimes, that you're having so much fun doing something that it feels like it's only a few hours have passed. And you can feel the difference, distinct difference in energy. Here, when you're trying to push to do something, really trying to effort your way through it, you feel drained, you feel like you don't feel good, you have headache, you feel tired and everything. The other thing inspires you, energizes you, it excites you. After you finish doing it, you feel so full of energy, so full of ideas. So that's the thing, that's like the difference that happens when you're connected with where you're headed. One last thing that I would say, I know I've said a last thing a couple of times now. There's this talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. A lot of people talk about it. But hi, Akanksha. I was giving your example many times today in the call. There are people who talk about stepping out of their comfort zone, but I like to like kind of rephrase that and say that expand your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is basically what you're familiar with, what you believe is possible, what you think is normal, right? So when you're stepping out of it, it feels like you're so super nervous. You feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do it or not. And if you make it beyond your comfort zone, you also have imposter syndrome. You feel like, okay, this one time it happened, was it luck, was it fluke, will I be able to do it again? You have all those questions about your own self-worth. You can self-sabotage as well. But the second thing is, when you expand your comfort zone in your own mind, you first of all, you make it believable wherever you're going ahead. It doesn't have to be perfect, but wherever you currently are, those old stories, old limiting beliefs, you shift it, you change it, and you try to connect with, new beliefs and new desires that are there. Something that I mentioned yesterday, that the new goals that you're setting is not just about achieving this, it's about who you're becoming in this journey, right? So as you're making it, normal for you, that yeah, I'm going to be, I can imagine having more money every month. I can imagine receiving that kind of, orders for my, for my supplies, the things that I'm selling. Or I can imagine that the people in my life can be better, they can be more harmonious with me and everything. So you start imagining that, you start connecting with that, you start, making it familiar. So the next action feels like very normal. It feels like, yes, this may still feel scary, but it feels like this is the way forward. Like again, in that case where Toastmasters still is a big thing to become, to try to learn to be a public speaker. It is still nervous for, it's still something that makes us nervous, but it feels like, yes, this is the next natural step. It only makes sense that I should get into this, learn new things so that I can become a public speaker. So many things that we discussed today. As I said, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. Hi, Kristen. Good morning. I think it's 7:15 at your place. I'm logging out earlier today. I connected earlier today, also logging out earlier today. I have to be somewhere. But we were talking about shifting our beliefs, right? So very quick guide here is, whenever you have a new goal, you'll have things that will pop up. As Kristen calls it, echoes. It's echoes from the past. It's echoes from what other people have said to you. But you can look at them and really address them. Be removed from that, not within it. Don't be in the story. That's why you have to, do the first two things. Feel happy, feel positive, and know that it doesn't hold that power over you. And then be like, do I want this thing in my life anymore? Do I want this thing to still dictate my life? Do I want this thing still to be true? When you identify that, oh, this is the voice of my mother when she said, you need to do this to have this. This is the voice of some entrepreneur, or some news thing that I watched as I was a child, which said, okay, you can't have this. So you can be like, is this true? Do I still want to believe this? Well, no. I'm going to make new beliefs for myself. I'm going to connect with what I want. Another tip that I can give you is that as you're moving ahead to where you're going, you want to support that also. You want to support, like, okay, who are the other people who are doing this right now? Sure, in my life so far, I've seen that this is difficult. But if I want to make $1 million, I know it's crazy for me. I know no one's done this before. I know that around me, I don't see anyone. But are there people in the world who are making $1 million? Sure. Are there people in the world who are making $1 million per day? Yes. So, you want to support yourself by saying, okay, there are other people who have done this before. Going back to day one, reminding yourself that, oh, I have done things before which felt crazy to me. I received an iPad, I received a phone, I've received new connections, I've had, shifted my career with a lot of ease. So I've done things that previously felt really impossible, but I've done that before. So you want to support your desire with positive beliefs. Look around, look at different cases where it has happened. Look at yourself, at your own life where you've done it before, so you're changing those stories, right? So that's something that I wanted to give you here on day 3, and I'll see you tomorrow on day 4, where we will talk about how to feel good, how to feel positive. This is a question that has come so often to me in so many different places, even in the form that I ask people to fill up, and also personally, where people are like, how do you, and people have asked me, how do you stay positive? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. Let's see, Akanksha has asked to join in, but Akanksha, I have to leave today early. So maybe tomorrow we can connect, right? So thank you so much for joining today's call. And you can catch the replay. It'll be on my IGTV, and you can share it with your friends. You can simply share it with your friends if you find there's value in this. I know it'll help people. Bye. Have a great evening. Have a great day.